Well, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another recap for Y: The Last Man. We're now up to the season finale, episode 10, titled Victoria. Before we go into the recap, please make sure to like this video and please make sure to subscribe if you're new. We keep up with all the new movies and TV shows, but let's get into a quick recap of episode 10. I'll give you my thoughts on the episode and the series as a whole as I rate it. And let me know down in the comments, below if you guys enjoyed the series or if were you disappointed. But let's get into it. So the episode begins with a flashback pre-apocalypse. We're at this restaurant dinner with Yorick, Beth, Hiro, Jennifer, and her husband. Yorick brings up Elvis's dead twin brother story. He ponders the question of why fate chooses one man over the other. This is obviously foreshadowing his future as he becomes the last man on Earth. Hiro then calls him out for not letting her be a part of this trick, and she mocks him for being a straight white guy with a congresswoman as a mother. This is meant to be taken as some sort of joke, but it sort of falls flat with everyone. We then cut to Nora and Roxanne, who are talking on horseback. Roxanne says how it must be nice to raise a daughter in this world where she's not forced to become a mother or a wife or a clock-punching workforce drone, is what she says. We then see Agent 355 laying in the middle of the road. She thinks the person looking up at her is Fran, who we've seen from the flashbacks, who is the Culper Ring mentor. So she visits Man in the greenhouse. Man talks about how mice and bunnies are the next species to go extinct. Man also says that they were offered 2 ATVs for that when they leave. They have that, and she also says that Yorick will probably be upset to leave because of his relationship with Sonia. But 355 says that he'll live. So then we see Yorick and Sonia talking. They're at like this little lunch table, and he admits that he's only ever slept with one woman, which is Beth. He talks about how they dated when they were young, and 355 then interrupts them, saying, "Yorick, we're leaving tomorrow," and that's that scene. As you can tell from my tone of voice and how I'm explaining all this stuff, a lot of the beginning is nothing important. We're met with these scenes just catching up with where all these characters are at. Nothing crazy happening, right? So we then cut to Roxanne's group who are chilling in this indoor pool. They're planning their next siege of where they want to go into the town to find what this mysterious man is, right? So 2 older women now appear. They have guns. Hiro steps up to them, asking them to leave. The 2 women say that they were here first, so it's like their territory. The rest of the women, including Hiro, scare them off. But not before the 2 women say that the rioters at the Pentagon breached and killed the president. Hiro obviously thinks that this means her mom, Jennifer. Meanwhile, we all know that they mean Regina, who, as we saw in the last episode, there was a fight for power. I guess we didn't really know who the president was at the time. It was like this transition where Regina was becoming in power. But they're obviously referencing that Regina is dead. But all you need to take out is that Hiro thinks that it's her mom that's dead. We were then met with another flashback dinner scene. The same flashback, same setting. They're at the dinner table still, but Beth is now explaining her environmentalist, collectivist job that she plans on doing, which sort of hints at her rebellious future against the government. Yorick supports her, and then we cut to Beth and Jennifer now in the future. They're together. They're shacked up in some house. Beth says that Jennifer should cut her hair since everyone's going to be looking for her, but Jennifer says no. Beth talks about the system and how it can't be fixed. Jennifer sort of laughs at her, saying that all she really wanted was anarchy. Beth then asks where Yorick is, but obviously Jennifer doesn't know, and they plan to leave at dark, right? So then we go back to Yorick, who's asking 355 about the Culper Ring. 355 says that she doesn't know anyone else because they separated her, and she also says that her handler was a man, which is, she's lying, right? Because we know that Fran was her handler. And so then we go back to another flashback dinner scene. Yorick says that Hiro is dating someone. This forces Hiro to say that she is dating Mike, who is a married man. Obviously, her parents are upset about this, but Hiro fires back at them, especially her dad, saying that all the texting he's been doing all night is with the teaching assistant, implying that he is also cheating on her mom, Jennifer. So Hiro calls them all hypocrites. Jennifer sort of gets up and says she has to leave because work is busy, but she doesn't leave before whispering something in Hiro's ear. We then cut back to the future now, where we see Jennifer and Beth are back in the house. An intruder comes in. It's revealed that the intruder is Sam, who we haven't seen in a while. They all try to escape, but then they are taken hostage by people who we don't know yet at this point in the episode. We then cut to Hiro and Nora, and they're talking about the origin of Hiro's name. Hiro says it comes from some Shakespeare story. She goes into all the details about it. She says that it's a comedy. Listen, up to this point, and a little bit after this point, I thought this episode was pretty bad. I was just... like, this is the finale, Like, at least last episode ended kind of, like, exciting to where I was like, yo, next episode, shit's gonna hit the fan. At least it might end, like, on a big note. Literally, the whole first half of this episode is just a bunch of dumb conversations about stuff that, honestly, really doesn't matter because the show's canceled. So it's like, the whole time you're watching, I'm like, all right, let's just finish this episode up because honestly, I'm done with this show. Back to the recap. Roxanne notices that Hiro and Nora are talking. They're upset about the Pentagon's destruction. Roxanne is upset that they're upset about the destruction of the Pentagon because it represents a broken system about the old broken world, which she hates. So Nora says, "Don't speak to me like that ever again." And then she jumps in the pool as everyone else jumps in the pool and all the girls are having fun in the pool. And we then cut to 355 and Man, who are cuddling in bed. All of a sudden they just start cuddling. We kind of had hints of, relationship tension between them. It kind of comes into fruition this episode. We then cut to York and Sonia. They're talking. I think Sonia admits that she murdered someone. And then they kiss. And then Nora then finds Mackenzie in the bathroom, her daughter. She finds that Mackenzie just had her period. Nora says a line how she was programmed into thinking that getting her period was exciting. She then gives her daughter Mackenzie a wedding ring, saying that she has to be brave and strong. Mackenzie says, "You sound a lot like Roxanne." And then Nora's like, "No, Roxanne sounds a lot like me." And I was watching this and I'm like, what are you talking? Like, what? Like, what is going on? Some of this, the line delivery in this episode was borderline obnoxiously bad, especially Roxanne. Roxanne puts on some cringe performance here, and which I'm going to talk about soon once we get to the shootout. But oh my god, some of the writing in this is just abysmal. So after this, we then met with a scene with Kimberly, who I haven't seen in a while, and so Kimberly has this passionate, wet dream about York, and she then wakes up out of the dream next to Christine, and she says that she knows how to fix all of this. She knows how to restart the world. All she needs is him. Another really bad line delivery. I thought it was a cringe again. But that's the only scene with Kimberly. We now cut back to the Amazons, who are arriving in town. A shootout quickly occurs between everyone. There's a scene where Mackenzie helps Nora, which is supposed to be representing her being brave and strong now. I don't know why that was a highlight in the whole shootout. During all this chaos, we see that Hiro spots some people escaping, so she chases after them, only to realize that it's her brother York. So Sonia then shoots Hiro, but York stops Sonia from finishing off Hiro, stating that that's her sister. Hiro automatically says that their mom is dead, but then Sonia is literally just shot dead right away by someone else. So Hiro then tells him to flee, saying that the Amazons are after York. So York and Man flee, and then Hiro shoots her companion, the one who just shot Sonia, and shoots her so that York and Man can escape, right? So then we have the final flashback dinner scene. Sam arrives for some after-dinner drinks. Obviously, everyone sort of left except for Sam, who's there. She's all upset. Sam comforts Hiro. Did I say Sam was the only one there? I meant Hiro's the only one there. Sam comforts Hiro, and Hiro says that she made a mistake. Who cares, right? So then we go back to the main shootout, where Roxanne just ran out of ammo, and 355s are just about to kill Roxanne. Nora sees this, though, and Nora decides to surrender so that Roxanne can live. Roxanne is furious about this surrender. She storms off in one of the most stupidest ways I've ever seen anyone storm off. She's just like, why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? And then she flips tables and she's like, and then storms off. I was like, we're in a shootout and you're complaining like a little baby. I get that's what her character is, but it just looks so dumb. So the Amazons then retreat back to the pool. Hiro tells Nora that her brother is still alive. She sort of tells her secretly. Roxanne starts going after Nora for surrendering. Nora defends herself against Roxanne, saying that she's just like all the men that she hates, going into all these details about how she's condescending and making us all feel like we're just partners instead of collectively all together, whatever, right? She's just comparing Roxanne to all the men that she despises. Nora then reveals that her real name is Victoria, which is the title of the episode, and that changing her name and getting married and working for the president didn't satisfy her, and then she guns down Roxanne and kills her as Roxanne falls into the pool dead. And then she says that the Amazons no longer have to reinvent themselves. And then Hiro stands next to Nora to show her support, and it looks like they're going to be the next leaders of Roxanne's former group about the Amazons, right? So then we cut to 355 and York and Man. York is all upset about the events that just happened. 355 recounts the story of her traumatic car accident to him at 12 years old, as we saw in flashbacks, right? She tells the whole story, and she says that if I survived, then so will you. 355 also says the mission is technically off now since the president is dead, and Man and him are free to go if they want. But York says that he doesn't want that. He also says he's tired of feeling helpless, and he asks 355 to teach him how to be tough, and 355 agrees to teach him. So then we see Jennifer, Sam, and Beth. They're in this tiled up white room, similar to some rooms that we've seen in 355's flashbacks with Fran, her mentor. So then it's revealed that Fran is actually watching Jennifer, Sam, and Beth through security cameras, and she's using them as bait for 355. So then finally, in the last scene, we see 355's tracker leads them to a van that has supplies and gas. So they get into the van, they proceed down on this long, windy road. We get an aerial shot of the car that reveals that the roads are in the shape of the letter Y, and that's how the episode ends. So, I'm rating this episode a 2.9 out of 5. I think this is the worst episode yet. I think this was a terrible finale. I'm not going to say I hated it. It does have its moments, you know, when someone's just shot dead, you open your eyes and you go, whoa. But once that shock is done and you're looking back and you're just like, like, who cares? Like, if this show wasn't canceled, maybe I would have cared a little bit more. But I honestly don't like the show, I don't think. I think it takes a major dip from the beginning to the end of the show. So I'm going to give you guys my rating for the show as a whole, which you guys are probably going to think this is a little bit high, but I will explain it, right? So I'm giving it a 3.4 out of 5. I'm giving it 3.4 because, honestly, the first 4 or 5 episodes I thought were really great. I was having a blast with the show. I was enjoying the hell out of it. I love talking to you guys about it. I thought it was a really interesting, unique concept, and I was excited about where it was going to go, right? From episode 6 to about the finale, it's not that good. It has some episodes that are good. I think episode 7 was really good. Sort of felt like they were getting back on track, but then it doesn't. It just dips down, and that's sort of where the show also gets canceled. That's where it gets announced. And I think that also affected my perspective on these episodes, as I just felt like a lot of it didn't matter now that it was canceled. And my thoughts on why I thought the finale was so bad, not a lot happens. The show ends in the same place of where we started with this show, pretty much, right? We got 355, we got Man, and we got York. They're still on the run, trying to go somewhere, right? Are they going to San Francisco? Are they going... They're obviously leading into the trap that Fran has set up. But, like, who cares about Fran? I get maybe in the next season she'll be the big bad. But honestly, I don't think the show's going to continue. I don't think another network is going to pick up this show. Please let me know what you guys think. Do you think the show's going to continue or not? I said this before. I personally don't think, one, the show is good enough for it to be continued. I don't think a lot of people are going to be advocating for the show to continue. And obviously, if it gets picked up, I'll watch it, you know, but that might be like the completionist in me. Even when stuff is bad, I still like to finish it all the way through. And I'm just so disappointed in the show because, like I said earlier, I was really enjoying it. I thought York was a great character. I thought they should have focused on him more. I thought 355's Culper Ring stuff would have been a little bit more interesting. I thought her flashback memory stuff was going to be a little more interesting. We don't really find out too much. I don't think her whole traumatic incident, 12 years old stuff, is that juicy, especially when there's 5 minutes left in the episode and we have 355 explain to York that incident again. There's 5 minutes left in the finale. I gotta watch that. It just, for what? Just to make York get back up on his feet? Like, it just didn't feel worth it to me. I thought the flashback dinner stuff was a waste. Felt like a lot of filler. It was cool. You could open up with a flashback pre-apocalypse, and we could find out a little bit more. But like, what do we find out? We found out stuff that we already knew. She was dating Mike. She gets mad about her dad who's cheating. Is that new? And that's it. Like, and Sam comforts her. Like, what are the point of those dinner scenes? And I was also upset about how all the former prison women, they all felt like a waste. You know, I always thought they had some sort of hidden agenda that they were gonna maybe like use York or do something interesting. But it seemed like they were just gonna let him go, which is fine if they're nice people. But like, what's the point of them? Like, they get into a shootout, like half of them die, and they really played no part in this series as a whole at all. Even Sonia, she was a love interest for a little bit. They just started getting good, and then she dies, and we're supposed to feel like this is like such a big thing for York. You know, it seems like York is gonna get over pretty quickly, very quickly. Hero's journey, she probably has like the most character development out of everyone. I don't know if it's good character development. I really don't think so. She sort of ends up in the same place as she was in the middle of the episode. Maybe it's so weird, her character, you know, like I thought she was gonna become more like Roxanne, but now she's becoming more like Nora. But Nora's becoming more like Roxanne. So it's like Is this just like an endless cycle of like everyone's just shitty? Like everyone just feels so shitty. Every character, honestly. Maybe besides York, which as a man saying that the only man in the show is the best character, I guess it's sort of not good to say. But I guess I don't care because I do think he's the most interesting character. The show's supposed to be about him. It's the last man on Earth. Like, you're gonna be all these stupid side characters and side plots. So I think my rating was high, 3.4. But that's just literally averaging out all the ratings of my episodes and sort of knocking it a little for how it ended and stuff. So let me know what you guys thought of the show overall. Like I said, do you think it's going to continue? Did you enjoy this finale? Did you think it ended on a good note? Or were you like me and were you pretty disappointed? But yeah, I'm kind of happy. I mean, thank you guys for making these videos so good. Like I always say, I'm such a small channel. The best part is talking to you guys all about this. I can't wait to comment down below and talk to you guys about the show and the finale. So thank you. You guys have all my gratitude. Hope you all had a great Halloween weekend. And, you know, this is the last time you guys watch me because Why the Last Man is ending. Thank you for sticking around and watching. Please subscribe if you want to, you know, stick around and watch some new shows with me or new movies or reactions and stuff like that. But thank you for sticking around for this long. And please make sure to like if you haven't already. And hope you all have a great rest of the day. And I'll see you all in the next video.